Today, I am doing things a little bit differently. My guest, Nikki Wasilishin, is here to tell us about her mother, Stephanie's case, and how we can help. For those listening on your favorite podcast player, all photos and links will be posted in the show notes, like always. Nikki was just 10 when she lost her mother to a domestic violence dispute. And now, 30 years later, her mother's killer still hasn't been held accountable. I talk with Nikki about who her mother was, that awful night in July 1993, and how we, as listeners, advocates, and creators, can help. Nicole, welcome to Sipping on Some Crime.
Hi, Erin. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored.
Of course. I'm so excited that you were able to join me and cool with joining me. I'm so excited that, it's an opportunity to get to share your story and your mother's story. And just want to kick it off with, tell me a little bit about you too, like what you do, it's who you are, how you got here, and then we'll jump into your mom's story.
Oh, goodness. I mean, if you'd asked me that question before 2 years ago, I would have said I'm a small business owner and I'm, hitting 40 and I'm a small business owner, and COVID kind of scared me because I was a pet sitter and owned a pet sitting business. And right in the middle of COVID 2020, I get a call from my little sister telling me that our mom's case is heating up back up after 28 years because our mother was shot and killed when I slept as a child. And after 28 years, something was finally going. That's how I would have answered that 2 years ago. But now, if you ask me that now, I spend every day of my life vlogging and spreading awareness on my mother's murder, because 30 years ago now, my mother was shot and killed while I slept as a child in a domestic violence altercation with her boyfriend, and he never went to jail. And I can't really wrap my head around that. And being an adult now and reading the case file, I really can't wrap my head around that. So that is why I reach out to you and everybody like you to help spread my mother's story in the hopes that maybe the Sedona Police Department will look a little bit deeper at this domestic violence altercation. So to answer your question, I'm Nancy Drew now.
Hey, Nancy Drew had some great books. I
love Nancy Drew.
Me too. Unfortunately, it brings us to here having to use those skills that, those books that we read about as children. I mean, you were put into this whether you want it to or not. So if you're comfortable with taking us back, most importantly, what I love to learn about each family member's loved one is, who is Stephanie? How did she grow up? Do you know her? I know she was, you were very young when you lost her, but any memories that you love about her, favorite color, music she liked to listen to, your favorite things about her? I would love to know about Stephanie.
Absolutely. My mother was God. Talking about my mom right out of the gate gets me emotional. Sorry, Erin.
Oh, it's okay. Deep breaths.
She had a very large family. I mean, we were a very close family before this happened. So it didn't only shatter my life and her life. This ruined a dozen people's lives. So to take you back, my mother was born in Chicago, Illinois. She was a twin. Stephen and Stephanie were born on June 1st, 1961. Unfortunately, my mother's twin brother will only live 9 months. And about a year after he will pass, my mom's younger sister, Wendy, will be born. So that brought the count to 6 children. So growing up, I had uncles and aunts and cousins, and it was a very large family on my mom's side. And she had me very early, probably 19 or 20 years old, so she was very young. And I got to grow with my mom in her 20s. So I got to see that very cool side of her before she had my sister, because there's a 7-year gap before she met Russell and they had my sister. So I got to see my mom as that like hip, like, party mom, but she took care of us. And this is a quote that I said in Twisted and Uncorked, and I'm gonna share it with you too, just because that represents my mom, I think. And it's also gonna be the name of the memoir that I'm writing. I'm writing a book about this whole experience from start to finish. But anyway,
that's
going
incredible.
Back to the quote, we were at a complex one summer, because that's what you do in Phoenix, you go swimming. And one of her friends, she couldn't have been more than 25 or 26 at the time, and one of her friends just asked her, "Hey, Stacy, what's your favorite color?" And she answered, she's like thought for a second, she smoked a cigarette, "Green, because it's the color of weed and money." And that's That's just the way my mom was. She was
Oh,
just
I love it.
very like low.
Free spirited.
Yes, like yes, she was a very free spirit, but always lived life big, like beautiful, big hair, big makeup. If you didn't have yourself dolled up, it was just no point to leave. It was very low key, but very big. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
just like an
yeah.
awesome personality where everybody flocked to her. Everybody wanted to like be around Stacy. So growing up, everybody wanted my mom to be their mom. So that's what I
That's
remember a lot.
awesome.
Big family, big hair, big times, big parties, watching the old VHS footage of holidays. It's big laughs. My mom had that big like ha 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 Roseanne Barr laugh, and I got it too. So when I'm really happy, my mom comes out in me too. So I
That's
get really
awesome.
emotional. Thank you for
That's beautiful
asking
that you
about my
share
mom.
that. Of course. No, I mean, there's so much more than what happened to them. And those are important that we make sure that people remember that. You can see from her picture, she elevates light. It just pours out of her. Yes, definitely. She seems like someone that everybody wanted to hang around. You can totally tell. She
You could
really cared
totally
about
tell.
herself. You could see that she loved herself too, because of,
Hmm.
like you described that big personality. You could see it definitely. I lived in Arizona for a while, for about 5 years, so I know summers by the pool are, it's like a built-in memory that I think my daughter still talks about. She's 10 now, but she grew up pretty much a big chunk out there. And she's always like, Mom, by the pool, and all you moms hanging out and all of us kids. That's like a core memory for her.
Those
So
are building block memories, girl. You
they
know it.
are. It
You know
is.
it. Like my grandma had a pool, and that's just what I remember growing up was my grandma's house and all the pool parties and the family and the brothers and sisters and cousins. So thank you for asking about my mom right out of the gate. So it got
Of
me emotional, but
course.
thank you.
Of course. Um, it's beautiful stories. About your sister. I know you guys have a big gap. How is she doing with everything? If you're okay with sharing that, how is she doing? How is
Yeah.
she is handling all of this?
So 3 years ago, she was the one that initially called me because the Sedona Police Department was reaching out to her because as a small child, she was witness to this.
Oh,
So in the reinvestigation, they're reaching out to my adult sister in the hopes that she'll help them. So that's why 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, she started calling me, and we had a falling out, and I'm so mad that I didn't take this phone call. It was the beginning of July 2020, and I didn't take the phone call. My boyfriend did, and he's relaying the message back and forth, and she's telling me stuff's heating up on mom's case, just take the phone call. And I did it, and for 3 years I've been kicking myself in the ass because I haven't heard from her since then. So the Sedona Police Department's been looking for her. She agreed to help with the investigation, and the last they've heard from her was February of 2021. So that's 2 years that the Sedona Police Department's been looking for her. I've been looking for her for 2.5. The Sedona Police Department wants me to file a welfare check, um, because she's an adult. A missing person's not what I'm supposed to be filing. But then I talked to a true crime podcast, Donnie Miner, and he told me to file an attempt to locate. So I've got all these different people and agencies telling me to do different things. I don't know what to do. I've got a missing sister. So if your podcast gets out there, my sister, Christina, Courtney, Wasilishin, Peterson, Littrell, whatever she's going by, K, we need you. We're looking for you. I don't know how to find you. You should be around the greater Phoenix area, one of your friends, somebody. Christina, we need you. I'm really sorry for the last couple of years. I know you tried to call. I blew you off. I'm kicking myself in the ass for years. Please call us. Your mother's family really needs you. So that I don't know what's going on with my sister. So you asked me that question, Erin, and I don't know how to answer that because she's been MIA, and it's freaking me out a little, but she's an adult. She can go missing if she wants to. This is a lot to handle. And I
right.
understand if the police department's reaching out to her, it's triggering a lot of stuff, I'm sure, because it's done it for me. So
Right.
if she wants to go underground, I get it. But I'm hoping that the message will get out there and eventually she can come forward because we kind of really need her. Kind of really
Oh,
need her.
definitely. Hopefully she hears this, and if you get to a point where you want us to create posters and share in the community, we will get to work and we'll do what needs to be done.
I haven't contacted the Phoenix police yet because already the Sedona police is looking for her. So that means I'm bringing two police agencies down on her. I don't want to do that yet. So I've been reaching out to podcasts using my TikTok channel in the hopes that one of her friends will see this and be like, hey, your sister's reaching out. Your sister wants you before I eventually do place that, like, welfare check or attempt to locate or whatever you want to call it, because it's coming, it's imminent, and I don't want to have to do it, but we might have to, Erin.
Right. Yeah. It sounds like it's an important part that they feel, investigators feel like, hey, this is a piece I need to move forward. Then, you want to give them every opportunity to have that piece to move forward. So they can't sit there and look at you and say, well, this is why we can't move forward. You want to just connect all the pieces. And I'm glad you brought up police investigation being triggering. It's something I talk about a lot, that this has a generational impact. It has an impact down through your family tree for the rest of quite some time. It's going to be triggering when police show up because it brings everything back. And there's a trust issue too with letting them into your life, because it felt like they didn't do what they were supposed to before. So why would they now? Exactly. So I definitely understand that hesitation and frustration, and also just having to deal with that. And I'm sorry.
Yeah, you nailed it. I didn't even need to say anything. You nailed it. The
It's a lot.
inherent distrust, the
Right.
agency that's supposed to have helped you 30 years ago is still, and so yeah.
Yeah. Understandable. Absolutely. Absolutely understandable. Because something should have been done in the first place. And this has caused generational hurt and trauma and mistrust in a lot of things and organizations. And I'm really sorry you've had to do that.
3 generations of my family have investigated my mother's murder, starting with my grandma's case file and my grandma's original notes. I have pictures of my grandma's original case file. Then my aunt. And now 28 years after my mother's murder, I tagged in, like, God forbid if I had kids, like, can we just stop on the 4th generation? Like, this has got to stop, 3rd generation. Like, it's time. So
Right.
thank you for
It's time
bringing
she
that up.
has her piece. Of course. Absolutely. And that's something I think is really big for families as well. We don't get to define what the piece is for you. Um, Only you can define what that is. And I hate the word closure. I cannot stand the word closure. I know it's a typical one that people roll to, but you have closure on selling a house. You have closure on, graduating high school. This isn't something that you'll ever have closure for, but peace. Peace is what we want for you. Whatever that looks like is what I hope you can find, so that you can
Thank
start
you.
to feel a little bit better.
I
For
don't know your
sure.
backstory, Erin, but just the way you speak to me makes me feel like you're a kindred spirit. Like, you know what I'm going through. I don't know if you're a family member of a victim, but
Uh,
you
but
sure do sound
I
like
got my
you are.
stuff. Yeah. I grew up
So
hard, so I absolutely
you do. And
understand.
I can tell you understand. And I really appreciate the way you speak to me. So thank you.
Oh, of course. Anytime. Anytime. You got me in your corner now. Just, took forever to find, but it happens. You came across my time feed, and I just thought, I know there's going to be people, because I've seen it. There's going to be people being like, well, why'd she wait? And you're going to have to jump to your defense. And I was like, you know what? No, she's going to need voices in her corner to help defend her, because you were a child and you were allowed to grow up and you were allowed to be a person and you were allowed to live, and everything comes in time. And I could see like little comments that made me just want to, like, oh, so you got me in your corner now. I am more than happy to defend you. Call me in when you need me.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
girl.
Of course. And I know this is a lot. So I want you to be as comfortable as you can with this. If you would like to take us back to what you remember,
Hmm.
starting with that July day, or even maybe describing their relationship. It's however you best want to start.
Sure. Let me take another sip and let's just dive in.
Let's dive in with you.
My mom and my dad broke up very early in life, and my mom met Russell when I was probably around, what, like 4, 5, 6, 5, 5. Let's just say I was about 5. She was working at the Sheraton Crescent Hotel. It was one of her big first jobs in the kitchen because she liked to cook. She was a pastry chef, so she's probably like 25. And the big head executive chef took a notice in her, and his name was Russell Bennett Peterson, and he was Italian, and he lived life large, and he ruled the kitchen. So in the kitchen, he was God, and he wore the chef's jacket, and he was just the man. And to a 25-year-old, this guy was just like, my mom saw stars and she fell in love, and she fell very hard because he was the exact opposite of my father, who was a construction worker, who didn't really like to like get attention. He wanted to go work and like work hard. It was just, Russell is the exact opposite from my dad, and she fell, and she fell very hard. And I remember she was supposed to get married to Russell, and they eventually didn't get married. And about 2 years into the relationship in 1989, poof, they get pregnant, and I get a little sister, and it's cool. She was like a little doll, and it was fun. And we were a little family for a while. And I remember we had a little apartment on Bethany Home and 16th Street. I still remember the E101. And I remember everything was fine. Everything was fine. Like, I would see my dad on occasion, but I knew that like Russell was my stepdad, and like my mom and Russell had a baby together, and that was my sister, and this was a family. I got it. Like, we were happy.
Aw.
And then he got an offer to open an Italian restaurant in Sedona, and they extended the offer to my mother as well. So they were offering Russell the chance to open Pietro's, a fine Italian restaurant in Sedona, and they were giving my mother the pastry area. And they jumped on it. And I remember in like 1990, 1991, we moved to Sedona, Arizona. And I remember it was just such a big deal in my family's world, because it was like, it was a step up. It was an elevation for my mom, who never went to college. And they were going to this, Sedona, right? It's
Oh,
very
yeah.
ritzy, costs money to live there. In order just to live there and to have their children, to bring their children up was a big deal. So they
Very
couldn't
big.
wait to get us there. They moved us there, and things were good. They started this restaurant, but they got comfortable and started drinking, and it went downhill because he became a really bad alcoholic, and he spent all the time at the restaurant. So if you ask me, out of our time in Sedona, if we were a happy family, I don't remember. I remember the house. I remember my sister, my mom, the dog and cat, and the garden, and he was never there. My point, Aaron, is that he wasn't there. So he'll tell you that he was busy working and supporting the family, but in reality, he lived at the restaurant, and when he wasn't working, he was there drinking at the restaurant because he was larger than life. And at the restaurant, he was God. He was the executive chef, and everybody just loved him, and that was where he could be, because he's a narcissist, and that's where he wanted to be. So in the 2 years that we were in Sedona, I don't remember us being a happy family. That's when it started to break down, was moving to Sedona, this restaurant, and that's when everything went bad. And I remember my mom being really lonely, and I remember my mom being just like me, very, when shit goes bad, she was very vocal about it. And so in the case file, there's a lot of victim blaming about how she would say that she was unhappy. And, it's just everything pans together. If you looked a little bit deeper, on my mom was an emotionally abused, neglected woman and wanted to leave, which is what happened, but nobody knows that because they didn't want to look any deeper. Anyway,
Right.
my mom had an affair. She did. And I think that's when she realized that this wasn't going to work out. And when the dog busted through the screen door and the screen man was nice to her, my aunt could tell you all about my mom's extracurricular activities, and that's when it broke down. And then it really started breaking down because Russell wanted to go to Ithaca, New York for a culinary cooking thing, which was going to cost thousands of dollars, which was going to cost some of my mom's money, which was money that she was saving to take us to Disneyland that year. We never got to go. So the weekend that Russell's supposed to leave is the weekend my mom died. So it's a Thursday night. We are now up to July 8th, 1993. It is summertime. My mom's on the phone a lot this night, like a lot. Like, she was always on the phone. And in the 90s, you're attached to a landline, or you have the big hunky, like,
Yeah.
you're sitting on the couch with that great
Big
big
one.
thing attached to your hand,
The
right? For a
the long
cordless.
extending.
Right,
Yeah.
cordless, right? So I remember her being like, because we had the landline attached to the kitchen. My mom was always in the kitchen cooking. She was just standing at the counter for hours. She was talking. Now I know as an adult what she was doing. She was talking to my aunt, explaining how unhappy she was. Russell was leaving that weekend. Then she called my dad. My dad and my mom talked for 107 minutes. Like, what is that? That's like an hour and a half, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time. If you look at the phone bill, if there's calls to my dad, it's 5, 10 minutes. It's about the kid, me, hi, me. It's not 107 minutes of let's just chat and reminisce. On this
Right.
night, she talked to my aunt for an hour, explaining how unhappy she was. Then she called my dad, telling my dad the exact same thing, how unhappy she was. What is my dad's response? Come back. And she said yes. In this call, they made the plan. She made the plans to leave Russell that weekend when he was out of town. Like they literally made the plans. Russell was leaving Friday, going out of town. She was going to pack up the house, me, my sister, the pets, and what she could, and she was going to go back to my dad. The plan was literally made the night of her murder. Okay, so she gets off the phone, calls my aunt again. Even in the case file, my aunt is quoted as saying, the second time Stacy calls, she's happy. The first time she calls, she was unhappy. The second time, she's happy. My aunt doesn't know why, because my aunt and my dad do not like each other. My mom never told my aunt what my dad and my mom talked about on that conversation.
Oh.
Okay. She talks to my aunt, doesn't tell my aunt, but she's happy. Their phone call ended at around 10:30. Okay. We're got up to 10:30 on the night of the murder. I go to sleep at around 11:15. I remember coming up behind my mom, and it was a free floating couch. I came up, I smelled her hair, I kissed her neck, I said goodnight. She asked me if I brushed my teeth. I said no. She might have asked me if I walked the dog too. Of course, I lied again, and I went to bed, not knowing that, wow, that you just had your last interaction with her mother. Maybe take 5 more minutes and smell her hair a little bit more, or pet her, or hug her a little bit extra.
Don't beat yourself up about that.
Moments that I think about now, because I think about this night a lot. I'll go to bed. I'll go to bed with the door open, and I'll hear Russell come home, and I'll fall asleep. And was a heavy sleeper then. And the next thing I remember are flashlights. It's now 3 hours later. It's not 11 p.m., it's now 2 p.m. And they're flashlights because my room is the garage, which was on the other side of the house, because this Sedona house was a 2-bedroom house. They had a master. My little sister got a bedroom, and then they converted the garage to my bedroom. So I didn't hear a damn thing because he had closed the garage door and then the bedroom door to the garage. So there were 2 doors closed between us. The cops couldn't find the light switch because it was a garage, and so they're shining flashlights at me. That is literally how I woke up. Flashlights trigger. Flashlights trigger so bad. And they're telling me to get up, get dressed. Like, we need you to get up. And I don't know what's going on. I'm scared. Like, there are cops there. I'm more scared the cops are in my room. Like, what I do? Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, you just get dressed.
Right.
They hustle me through there so fast. And I remember seeing Russell on the couch where I had just said goodnight to my mom 3 hours earlier. He's sitting in the same spot, and he's rocking, dude. He's rocking. And there's cops all over him standing. But they hustled me. I saw no more than 15 seconds. And I know now as an adult what they were doing. They were interrogating him on the couch in my house and getting the children, myself and my sister, out as fast as possible. They put us in the back of the cop car, and we sat in the back of the cop car for God only knows how long before they put him in the back of the same cop car, where they let him like fondle me and squeeze on me and hug in my ear and tell me that it's going to be okay and that he loves me. And I'll never, he's always in this ear now,
Oh, I'm
whispering.
sorry. Why would
Oh,
they
it's
put you guys in
disgusting.
the same vehicle? What were they thinking?
I don't know. And that's a triggered memory that I always have of him telling me minutes after he's murdered my mother, he's telling me it's going to be okay. And he wants to keep the family together and saying stuff like that to me. It was just, I won't even know that my mom was dead, girl, because the cops will tell me that my mom and him had gotten into a fight and then my mom was at my aunt's house. I'll believe it. I won't don't know anything.
Right. You don't know to question that.
So
Why would you?
that's what I remember leading up into that night and what happened, the motive. Like, she was going to leave. She had made that plans. He came home. The thing is that at 11:20 there's a second phone call to my dad. If you look at the phone bill, my dad says he never picked up the phone. He doesn't remember a phone call. So what does that say? Did he come home and he couldn't have
Hit
star
redial?
69? He couldn't have because remember, she called my aunt first. I don't know. She either told him about the phone call and that she was leaving, or he found out about it. That's what prompted the whole fight and why he grabbed a gun and why my mom's life was lost, because she told him that she was leaving with his kid.
And he
That's
wasn't
my
having it.
dad. He wasn't having it. My dad and Russell never got along ever.
So they already had your dad and Russell had a tumultuous, like they were aware of each other. Okay. So they had obviously had
Yes.
issues. So
Yes,
that was going to be a trigger.
my my mom left my dad for Russell, so my dad stalked my mom a lot for a while afterwards. I remember he was really hard at letting go. So the fact that she was going to leave Russell now for Craig, my dad, was a trigger for Russell. Clearly, he grabbed a gun. He probably didn't mean to shoot her in a crime of passion, but he grabbed the gun probably to scare her, intimidate her, show her
Right.
who's boss. But he grabbed a gun, and my mom's life is lost. Like, pay the piper, right?
Right. It doesn't matter in the moment what your option was and what you were thinking when you were going through it. A consequence needs to be accountable. Like the consequences of life was lost, and he needs to be held accountable for that.
Yeah.
But he's out just living his life.
Yeah, for the last 30 years, the Sedona Police Department tells me there's insufficient evidence to press charges and prosecute him. Yeah, so for 30 years, he's gotten out on a technicality because he says that my mom grabbed the gun first and attempted to shoot him first.
Or she's
Right-handed.
right-handed, and it was left hand that they found the gunpowder on, correct? So that would
Yes.
be a defense.
The medical
Hand
examiner
up.
ruled it as defensive posture and positioning. That is literally what the ME ruled it as.
And I've heard the 911 call, and I'll make sure to insert that for everyone.
What's your emergency?
I need help.
What kind of help, sir?
There has been a very bad accident.
Where at?
It's 530 Coffee Pot Drive. In Sedona.
Mm-hmm. Okay, how many vehicles?
No, there's no vehicles. Me and my wife, we were in an argument, and she's hurt. She's hurt very bad. I need help.
Okay, what's wrong with her?
She's been shot.
She was shot?
Yes.
Who shot her?
We were... I don't know.
You don't know who shot her?
She might have shot herself.
Okay, how old is she?
She's she's 31 years old, 32.
32?
Yes.
And where is she at right now?
She's in our bedroom.
Okay, are you at Pot Drive?
5 Sedona, Arizona.
Okay, is that a house or is that a company?
It's a house.
Okay. And is she conscious?
No.
She's unconscious?
Yes.
Is she breathing?
No, it doesn't look like she's breathing.
Okay, stay on the line. I'm going to connect the PD to you, and I'm going to get the paramedics going, okay?
She needs help.
What is your name?
My name is Russell Peterson.
Do you know how to do CPR?
No, I don't.
Okay, stay on the line with me. Just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, coffee. Mr. Peterson, where is she shot?
It looks like she's been shot in the neck or the chest.
In the neck or the chest?
Yes.
Okay, we had a fight in progress, a dispute, husband-wife dispute. The wife is shot in either the chest or the neck.
Okay.
Unconscious. Where at?
Right.
Okay, and who are you?
I'm Russell Peterson.
Okay, are you involved in this?
Yes, I am.
Okay, did you do the shooting or who did?
No, I didn't do the shooting. She shot at me. We had a little bit of an argument, and it went kind of back and forth, and it just kind of went off.
Okay, Russell, I want you to stay on the phone with me, all right?
Okay.
Medic 41, ambulance 11, channel 1, EMS assignment. 32-year-old female, gunshot wound to either the chest or the neck. Location will be the Spaghetti Western Incorporated. Drive.
No, she's inside the house.
Spaghetti Western Incorporated Drive. All units stage until Sedona PD is on scene. Okay. How did she get shot, Russ? Medic 41, ambulance 7 channel 1, 0145.
Where did you find over the gun? No, we had a little bit of an argument, and then she came. I have one loaded gun in the house, and she came in and she shot one time at me, and then we kind of had a little bit of a fought over the gun, and it went off.
Medic 41, ambulance 11, channel 1, EMS is on the 32-year-old, gunshot wound to his chest and neck. Location of Beach Spaghetti, Western Incorporated. Drive, all responding personnel, stage, responsibility PD is on scene. Medic 41, ambulance 11, channel 1. Okay, Russell, don't hang up, all right? I need you to ask another line real quick.
No,
Don't hang up. Mr. Peterson, I'm still with you. Where is she from where you are right now?
She's standing right in front of me.
Are you the only one there?
I've got my daughter right here.
Okay. We need to verify if she is conscious.
No.
Can she respond to you? Is she breathing?
No.
Okay. Okay, what I want you to do, we need to start CPR.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Can your daughter do CPR? How old is she?
She's 3 years old.
Okay. Then you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to be listening to me on the phone and trying to do it, okay?
I'm listening to you.
Okay. Can you get the phone near her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 451 ambulance.
No.
Alarm to responding personnel. Be advised, patient is unconscious, not breathing. We're starting CPR instructions. Okay, what I want you to do is open her airway. To do that, you need to put one hand under the neck, one hand on the forehead, lift up with one on the under the neck, and push down with one on the forehead. So her head is tilted way back like she's sniffing.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay. Medic 41 respond.
No, she needs help.
I know. And you're good. Okay.
We need help real bad.
Okay. They are coming, but I need for you to do this for me, okay? Okay. Is her head tilted back? Mr. Peterson? Is it tilted? Okay. Is it tilted back?
I'm trying.
Okay. If her head is tilted back, then what I need for you to do is pinch her
No,
nose.
but there's too much stuff around.
What do you mean there's too much stuff around?
There's a lot of stuff.
Is it coming out of the mouth?
Yeah, it's coming out of everywhere.
Okay. Is it coming out of the mouth? If so, we need to clear it out.
Okay, let me try. Please go into the bedroom.
Do we know if the doors are locked?
Okay, I'm trying. I'm still on the line.
Mr. Peterson, is the door unlocked?
Okay, I've got her.
Is your door unlocked, sir?
My front door?
Yes.
I'm gonna get it unlocked. No, the people are here.
Okay, that'll be
Yes,
the
I need
officers.
help.
Okay, that'll be officers.
They're here. The officers are here. I need help.
444 to ambulance 11.
Please, I need help. That's my daughter. She's 4 years old. She's gonna be 4 August 11th.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
They will go ahead and take over this for you, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so then
You
we're
can
done.
go ahead and talk to the officers.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Did the officers hear the 911 call?
Well, if you ask me, it took our family 29 years to hear that 911 call. My aunt tried for decades to get it. When I tagged in, I tried. I got the runaround back from Sedona Police Department, back to the Sedona Fire Department. I did this for a couple hours before I gave up. The only reason why my family obtained that, no, I won't put it that way. I'll put it this way. We obtained that 911 call 1 week before Fox News sat down with Sedona Police Department. So I have a huge news organization applying pressure, and that is the only reason, I will say it, that is the only reason my family got the 911 call released after 29 years. So I don't know if the cops heard it. They tried to tell me that they didn't have the proper technology to get it to us.
Really?
We're the only cold case from the 90s that needed to have like flash technology over. Are you kidding?
Right.
It's
And
just
Sedona, like they didn't have money to make those things happen. Come on.
Yeah, I have
Come
the
on.
letter. I had the letter that Rady Robinson told me. She was like, that letter that you received from the Sedona Police Department was gaslighting. And I'm like, you know what? Thank you. That is, I'm being gaslit by the Sedona Police Department. Thank you, Rady.
Right. Well, because who is anybody assigned to your mom's case? Like
Yeah,
what
oh
what's
yeah.
happening?
Oh, it's,
What do they say they've done in the past 29, 30 years?
oh, she has a case file that's like this thick too and like so organized. My mom's case was inactive up until January of 2023. The only reason why it is active is because of what I'm doing now, the pressure that I'm applying, and I wrote to Sedona City Council. Sedona City Council, the vice mayor, was kind enough to listen to me and to get an interview with myself and the active investigator, Sergeant Leon, and I did sit down with her on January 24th, and that's when I discovered what they had, and I gave them the information that I had. And to her credit, she did listen to me and she did go in and interview my father, who I'd been asking to be interviewed for 30 years. So she did do that. It's active. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I know that I'm throwing more media pressure at her so that she doesn't forget about my mom and put her back at a shelf on her shelf. So
Right. Yeah. No, we're not putting her on a shelf. She's been on a shelf too long.
hell
It's
yeah, she has. I had to
time to
grow up
put her
my
up
whole
front.
life.
Right. Without your mom. And that's not okay. And I can hear your sister in the background of that call. I can hear her. That poor baby, whatever she's got to carry, it's a lot.
A
She's
lot.
carrying a lot.
You haven't even read her interview.
Oh,
The case file, I won't read it out loud. I've released it on my TikTok page. It's awful. She tells the investigator at least a dozen times that she saw her father kill her mother.
oh, this poor baby.
Yeah, so
So,
like I got a lot to say to my sister, and my sister can be a
right,
dick and I can be a dick, but like I'm sorry. Like we need to sit down and have a good cry sesh, like me and my sister.
right, yes, because unfortunately, you have a trauma bond, and trauma bonds come with it's toxic in some ways, and
Yeah,
it's good in some ways, but it's
ups and downs.
messy. Yeah, it's a roller coaster because you're both got to go through your stuff, right? And you both got
Right,
to carry it. And
right.
sometimes instead of looking at each other and going, "Oh, we lost her together," it pits you against each other because you're both just in this. You're both hurting, and it's hard. I'm so sorry.
I know. Oh, I need my sister. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's rough
it's
that you
hard.
can hear, and I haven't had that enhanced, Aaron, either. A lot of people have asked me, like, can you have the 911 enhanced so you can hear what your little 4-year-old sister is saying in the background? And I haven't had the energy to do that yet.
No. Mm-mm. No, it has to be in your time. There's plenty of people that if they feel like they need to enhance it, they've got the skills. That's yeah, podcasters know what they're doing. They've got the skills.
Yeah,
They can handle that. That's not on your plate. It's only on your plate when you choose to put it on your plate. It's a lot.
a
Um,
lot. You
yes, this
gotta remember, I'm
isn't
still new to this too. I walked away from this for 28 years. I'm just now, within the last year and a half, 2 years, like getting big into this every day. So it's a
right.
lot.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot to carry, and I hope you have someone that you get to like dump on and don't do it alone. I know that that kind of trauma teaches you to do it alone, but it's and I speak to pot kettle black. I get it.
You
I'm the
do.
worst at it. 100%.
but yeah, don't do it alone. Find moments, find something to just get it out. I noticed that you work with animals, which I did for quite a few years. I did animal emergency room and also the shelter. Yeah, I did it all. I started working with safe haven cats when I was 12. It was my outlet. It's because
Yes,
animals, they get us. They know
you
us. Yeah.
totally know.
They heal little parts of you as you go. Yeah.
People, I've learned from a young age to distrust people. They've let me down my whole life, but animals never have.
No. Mm-mm. No. It's hard people to understand you when you grow up a certain way. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop always. And
Always.
so always. And so your entire existence is planning what to do when the shoe drops. And you lose yourself in the middle of that. For sure.
Girl, you know.
It's taken me a long time too. So I've been there. I get it. I can't be in your shoes. I absolutely don't know what it's like to be in your shoes, but there is a community that does see you, and now you got us. Just took TikTok.
Who would have guessed? Took a
Right.
journalist to tell me that too. I thought she was crazy. It took one of my friends then to tell me to do this.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, don't ever be afraid to put it down. When you need to put it down, put it down. Take a breath. Um, you'll find people in this community that'll say, hey, you need a break. Tell me what you need posted this week. And those people will step up for you. You're going to build her the army she deserves, that she should have had. I think every family member needs that army, because when we're this far ahead, you guys have been left behind, and we don't leave people behind. We absolutely don't leave people behind. We pick them up and we move forward together. So that being said, what is peace for you with your mom? What does that look like moving forward?
Oh, you brought up that dirty word earlier. I don't like the word condolence either. I hope you find what you're looking for, or closure, and the condolence word, the two C's. Closure, even the investigator said that to me on the other side of the table on January 24th. I hope you find the closure that you're looking for. Closure to me, and this is what I told her, closure to me is him spending some time in prison. I wanted him to be taken away from him what he took away from me. He took away my childhood, my adulthood, getting married, children, college, my confidence in myself. He took it all away. So I want to take it away from him. And not only did he take it away from me, he took the chances from his own daughter. He took it from my grandma, who died later with no closure. It's just, I want him to go to jail. I want the world to know that my mother didn't try to shoot him, do a murder suicide is what he claims. My mother was trying to leave a shitty situation, and the man did not let her. I want the world to know that my mother suffered from domestic abuse. He may not have smacked her around every day, but it was emotional domestic abuse. He broke her down. She wanted to leave, and he didn't let her. That's what I want. And I want him to go to prison. I really do.
I'm, yeah, he should be held accountable. He should lose
Something.
more, right?
If nothing, okay, let me retract that too. I'll take away him going to prison if he just stares me in the face and admits what he did. Like, admit what you did. Tell the world what you did, and I'll let him off. If it was up to me, he could go and be his little pitiful self. But admit what you did. If not, I'm gonna keep coming for him
Right.
until I prove what he did.
Well,
Bam.
yeah, because he was able to walk away and then discredit your mother. So he took from you, he took from her, and he discredited her. And in the end, we want to give them that piece of honor back. She deserves that piece of honor back. It doesn't matter. I don't care what you do to lead up to an argument. Nobody gets to take your life. And especially back then, growing up, I know, it was easy to say, well, she's had an affair before, she's done this before, or she's this, or she was outspoken. So that made her, of course, evil to men because she spoke her mind and wanted to, express
She had it
herself.
coming.
Yeah, if she hadn't done this, and if she had done that, and if she had left sooner, no, we're not playing that game. We're
No,
not playing that
I'm
game.
done. I'm
Yeah,
done with the victim blaming. It's over.
absolutely. Absolutely. We don't get to do that. Nobody gets to do that. She was a victim. Somebody came home in a moment of anger, who could not control himself, and decided, you know what? I'm going to take action. I'm going to do something. So in that moment, he did it. Now he has to pay for it. There's nothing wrong with anything that she did. She was a young woman trying to figure out who she is and what she wanted in life. And like you said, she was a magnetizing person who met someone else that was very much like her. And I'm the same way. I'm more like open and bright. My husband's very calm and quiet. And so, you know, that can cause like little like, hey, you know, I want to go do this. And they're very calm and quiet. And you kind of feel like a part of your spirit isn't matched. And so she met someone that matched that. And it was exciting. It's what she wanted. She wanted to live her life and do her thing. It doesn't matter. What matters is she was trying to leave and he stopped her.
Nobody gets the right to do that, and he needs to pay for it.
Right. Nobody gets the right to do that. And did he get to keep your sister after all? I mean, where did you guys go? What
Yeah, we both
happened?
went to our prospective fathers. He got custody of my sister, and my dad got custody of me. And I'll see my sister the next summer for our, remember I told you about Disneyland? We were supposed to go to Disneyland 1993, the whole family. My mom was saving for it for months. We never got to go because she was murdered. My aunt and my girl scrape together, and they will beg Russell, and we will get my sister for the summer of 1994. And I'll always remember when they took us to California to Disneyland, and then I won't see my little sister again for 10 years until she's old enough to pick up a phone and call me at the age of 14. And I was like, you know, in my 20s. I remember having my own place in a car, and my dad called me. He goes, "Your grandma called, and your sister's looking for you." And that's how we reconnected. And that's how I went down there, and I found out that Russell got remarried right away, had a son, and would later confess to this next wife what he did to my mother. So there are people out there that are aware of what he's done. It's only a matter of time before they are spoken to by Sedona Police Department. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, did I tell you about the 136 phone call?
No.
I always knew that when I got the case file and I saw the phone bill for my house that he would call somebody before he called 911. When I got my case file, first of all, I did not get the copy of this phone bill. I was denied discovery, but luckily my aunt has my grandma's original case file that has the phone bill, and lo and behold, he calls 911 at 1:40 to report the gunshot accident, right? Well, at 1:36, he's calling his father in Glendale, Arizona. 4 minutes before he'll call 911, he's calling his dad. Don't know why, can't figure that out. Told Sedona Police Department about it. They're looking at me like I'm crazy, like big deal. I go, doesn't that show like intent, that it wasn't an accident, that like, you know, he's
Right.
calling other people before? Isn't that like, you know, want to look into that? Working pieces to this that like, it's ridiculous that it's been open this long and that he's gotten to live his life. And he lives like 15 miles from me with his elderly mother down in Central Phoenix, dodging the
hard.
cops, dodging Fox 10 News, dodging me. Hi, how you doing?
Yeah. How you doing, buddy? Long time no see. Yeah.
Coming for you.
You know, I feel like you lost time with your sister too.
Oh
Me and
yeah.
my little brother were 12 years apart, and already that's like a big thing, you know, to have this sibling that it has this massive gap between you. And then, like you said, you go off and you're an adult now, and you have adult things in an adult world. And when they come back to find you, they're still a child in this child world, where also that toxic parent is still their guardian,
Yes. Yes.
which
Of
puts
course.
all these boundaries between you guys 1,000%.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I
You
hope
know.
she hears this. I hope she sees this. I hope she knows that you miss her, and we can bring her back home, and you guys can do this together. Or, you know, like you said, if, you know, for her, if it's easier for her to make this interview and then step back, are you able to carry that weight for her?
Yeah. I just want to, at this point, just talk to her and reconnect and be like, hey, we're both going through stuff. Like what we did to each other and said to each other, like, can we just water under the bridge? Like our mother's dead. Like we need, like, I need this with my sister. Like that's, if she doesn't want to do anything with it, fine. I just, for me personally, for my growing and my recovery, like I need to say I'm sorry. You go through these steps of recovery. I'm at the step where I need to say I'm sorry to my sister. Enough said,
Right.
right?
Yeah. I get those ones too. Yeah. Because they didn't get, I think people sometimes don't always get the best versions of us because we were not the best versions of ourselves. And so we just want to show them that we're a better version of ourselves and heal that. So,
Preach it, sister.
absolutely. I understand it. Um, so let's go to a lighter, maybe a lighter part of everything. Moving forward from listeners, creators, advocates, what can we do for you? What do you want to see from listeners, advocates? What do you want creators to do for you? What can we do in this space?
God, just the fact that I'm being heard is monumental. The first year of not even being heard, like reaching out to people and just being ghosted, is so frustrating. But the fact that you're hearing me is amazing. Follow the TikTok channel. I do daily updates. Good grief. The TikTok channel is how I get out to everybody. I do Facebook posts too, but really we have the petition going. I have almost 1,000 signatures demanding a complete homicide investigation for Stephanie. I don't know, girl. Just keep the. We just got a website. There we go. This is
Oh,
huge.
awesome. Okay, cool.
Last
I'll link
week,
all of that.
yes, last week, Rainey Robinson, who did 3 seasons with Dog, I had a podcast with her, and 2 days later, she got mom a domain name. She snagged her Stephanie Wasilishin, and then we have a website, and then we're building the website, and there, every podcast that I've done. So to date, this will be podcast number 5, and then a live show. So there are 6 media podcasts out there where I'm talking about my mom. The awareness is spreading. I couldn't be more thankful. I won't be happy till I'm on HLN, CNN, news
I don't
stations.
blame you. You're getting
But I
there.
mean,
Rolling up.
the day that I can come to you and tell you that he's been arrested is like the day I feel like I can retire and I don't have to talk about my mom's murder every day.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot. It's you have to re-traumatize yourself to get her the justice she deserves, and
Why?
it's a lot to carry, and I'm really sorry.
Yeah, why do we have to do that? I didn't know that I was gonna have to do that, or I would have done this, I guess, 20 years ago. I left it up to the cops.
Right. Yeah, I mean, 20 years ago though, you needed that time. Don't ever look back and think like I should have. I would. It's a different world. We didn't have TikTok. We didn't have these things. You get frozen in time when things like that happen.
It's the best way to put it, Erin.
Yeah, it stops. You freeze in time, and the rest of the world spins, but you're stuck. Yeah. So don't beat yourself up about that. Got to be kinder to yourself because the world is going to be rough enough. So be kind to yourself. Yeah, and this world isn't this whole industry can be a little exhausting, but it sounds like you've come across some really great people that have just jumped in and wanted to help. And, don't be scared to reach out to those people too and say, hey, this person reached out to me. Do you know, is this cool? Is this okay? Do you guys have good relationships with these people? You have questions, reach out to the community. We're here to help. I don't know if you have a Twitter.
No, I don't. I guess I need to. Yeah, is that something I need to do, I guess?
Yeah, you would get, I would say, Facebook's great. I don't get much interaction through Facebook with cases. I noticed when I post cases or I put things up, Twitter is huge, and TikTok,
Okay.
So if you need help with a Twitter, reach out. I'm sure you'll be able to get, I don't know how many justice for Stephanie's are, but the number 4 is a lot of family member uses that because the number 4 means domestic violence.
I didn't know that.
Yes, definitely. And then people can recognize it right away and then start correlating that together. And there's a whole community there as well. Domestic violence, like community and resources that will also share her story too. So we can get you tapped into everywhere you need to be tapped into.
I'm doing Twitter. We're going to get mom a Twitter handle. You've done it. You've inspired
definitely.
me, Erin.
And I'll join you right away, and we'll just get everybody rolling, and then you can just share this like little stuff because it is a whole other community. I say that and TikTok are going to be, your best. TikTok, it took some time, but it's climbing up there. and that's because you being persistent. We're all here to give you the platform to help you, but this is your work. This is what you've done, and be proud of that and hold on to that in the really, really shitty days, because I know they're there. Just pull deep and go, you know what? I'm here because of everything that I can do, because of who I am, because of what I've gone through. You've got an inner strength that nobody else has. So just dig in it when you need it, because it's always there.
Thank you, Erin.
Of course. So just hang in there. You got this. You got an incredible community. We've got
It's
your back.
amazing. As I once
Yeah.
it hit, it's just started spreading like wildfire. So
It
it's the
feels really
point
lonely
too,
for a while, but then
so
it
alone.
picks up.
I
Yeah.
couldn't believe it. And then it's the point too where like, do I go on with my life after this? Or do I take what I've built and struggled with and do I keep going and help others? Like, do I become a you or, like, I don't know, some kind of victim advocate for others that are helping? That's that or substance abuse counseling. I don't know what my calling is, but something in my future along one of those two
Something
lines.
calls you. Yeah.
Hmm.
Something calls you to help. And, when you finally get peace here and you can move forward, you'll know the right thing to do. And you're going to find other families that are going through the exact same thing that you're going through. I've worked with a few other daughters of mothers in your same shoes, or sisters of sisters in the same shoes. They're there too, and they can understand in a way that none of us can. So Twitter will help you connect with a lot of those people, and they can tell you where they've been and what they've gone through and who they've talked to. And no one can live a family member's shoes like another family member. So getting you guys connected, if that's something you want, we can always make that happen too.
I'm on it. Let's do it.
100%. So we'll get a Twitter going. Where can people follow you right now? What are your handles? Where do you want people to follow you right now?
Right now would be TikTok and Facebook. Daily updates are on TikTok. Nicole
Okay,
Wasilishin 726 is the handle.
awesome. And then the Facebook, is it a Justice for? Is it a
Nicole Wasilishin. Yeah, it
okay?
just kind of all started with just me being me, the daughter of a murdered woman.
That's who you are.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's probably a lot of justice for Stephanie's out there, probably hundreds. A lot of women have been, so there's only one me, my last name. My aunt named her daughter Stephanie Wasilishin, so there is another Stephanie Wasilishin walking this earth, but there's only one me. I am the daughter of a murdered woman. So to get updates on my mother, probably just look for my handle and my name. That's what I'm probably going to keep it as.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me.